I'm joined here today by Amber Kirby. Amber, thank you for giving up your time to do this and answer the questions and share your advice. I'm really grateful to you.
No problem.
So, to give a little bit, a quick context for anyone who's listening who may not be familiar with your background, I know you're going to go into a lot more detail, but just a 60-second overview from my side. So, most recent role, marketing director for Channel 4. Absolutely fantastic, iconic brand. And I know your earlier career was FMCG, and then you've done a lot within kind of travel and entertainment more recently, and you've got a fantastic track record in terms of really boosting growth. So it's accelerating growth, in these large scale brand turnarounds, which has been really, really exciting, and an incredible list of companies that you've worked for. So obviously Channel 4 most recently, Eurostar, Virgin Holidays, Walgreens Boots and Procter Gamble in your earlier career, and then you've got some other board roles as well. So you're a board trustee of the RNID and also of Leeds University Business School. So a busy lady. And I'm really looking forward to understanding about your journey to date, and I guess the highlights along the way, the things that you've learned, and kind of getting an insight into your career. So should we dive straight in with the first question, which is really about your career journey? Would you be so kind as to give us an insight as your journey to date, what's led you to this point, and any kind of standout moments along the way?
Yeah, I guess when I look back over my 20 plus year career in health, beauty, travel and entertainment, I realised that my real purpose has been to create a lasting change for good. It's creating strong teams that outlast me, strategies that are robust for long-term growth, not just those quick, easy fixes, and commercial as well as creative strength. And you're right, that list of brands is great, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, I've been really fortunate to be part of some brilliant crux moments in some really interesting brands. But it all started in a lecture hall at Leeds University. I was studying economics and management, and one day these two guys from Procter Gamble walked in and they gave a case study lecture on the launch of Sunny Delight. I don't know whether you remember that brand, Suzie?
I do, yeah, I do. At our respective age, I think.
Well, I was just hooked on their story. The way they told the story of the launch, healthier option to coat, sold it in fridges for freshness when it was actually just an ambient drink. But what struck me most was how well they really knew and understood that Sunny Delight mum, her needs, motivations, how she thought about life, the reassurances she needed, and the delight she had in her family. And it was just that customer understanding. It was incredible. And at the time, pre-PR disasters, really, really successful. So there began my journey. I immediately applied for an internship at P&G. And yes, just like the Royal Navy campaign, I guess I was born in FMCG, but made in travel and entertainment. My story probably comes in 5 chapters. That first quick one, the foundations at P&G, I was really incredibly fortunate to start my marketing life there. Taught me loads of leadership skills, but importantly, it gave me that understanding of that intrinsic link between great marketing and commercial success. And my first job, really sexy, it was I was responsible for 2 big brands actually, Fairy Non-Bio and Ariel washing powder. And I soon moved on to Pringles, which brought my second chapter, which was for me a really big move, which was moving to Switzerland, moving to Geneva, where I started my international marketing career. I relaunched Pringles then across 65 different countries. I grew the brand both top and bottom line, and started something called Pringles, which was a cheeky way to get connected to football without the big sponsorship deals that we couldn't afford. And after a couple of years, I was moved on to be in charge of the electric toothbrush revolution with Oral-B, which it's really a kind of a fascinating cultural category and consumer habit change. And so every day I was truly obsessed with converting more and more people to Oral-B and electric toothbrushes. And in the mature markets, I was fighting Philips, but I was also launching white space markets like Turkey, Russia, AP. I even launched a €300 Bluetooth connected toothbrush with Apple. So my life was quite diverse. And in fact, we nearly doubled that business from about 550 million to $900 million dollar revenue across EMEA. But what it taught me was it was all done through a smart and a really simple 5-pillar strategic model. In fact, I still use it today, which I'm quite proud of. After 8 years there in the mountains, I was an average skier, but I was
probably that was going to be a very important question: is how is your skiing?
Average skier, very average downhill mountain biker, and I made some lifelong friends there. But I felt like it was time to move on from P&G, and that took me to my next chapter, and indeed back to the UK with a big new leadership challenge. I started at Boots. You're right to call it Walgreens Boots Alliance because I started within the merger there. And I was brought in as part of the leadership team. And it was to create something called global brands, which I guess the best description is like a mini P&G, a mini Unilever, but within Boots itself. So owning brands from supply to shelf with quite excellent margins, let me tell you. So my role there was twofold, really. Part of it was to launch really profitable new global skincare brands. But the other really important part, and the biggest test for me, was to lead the full Boots branded health and beauty portfolio. Now, sadly, when I arrived, the Boots brand was in quite severe decline. 7 years, in fact, started to collect dust a little bit at the bottom of the shelf and had all gone a little bit forgotten, with a really demoralized team that came with it. So we reignited the growth, but importantly for me, it's not just through the brand, but through the team itself. We created a new vision. We started to live by everyday heroes for life's little moments, which just meant that every single person on the team and every single Boots brand and category, well, it just had meaning, a real purpose. And the eyes of the team just lit up a little bit and the team engagement went up. They really had something to do, something to serve. But for me as a leader, it also was a big test because it's really where portfolio thinking came in. I was in charge of about 6,000 SKUs, everything from condoms, walking sticks, hot water bottles, top end eye creams, a really diverse portfolio. So how do you drive growth when you've got all of those choices to make? It was a real test to where to focus resources and which category to rescue first. And all I can say is that the combination of choosing some power brands and working some really smart commercial pricing, I'm dead proud to work down a Boots aisle now and see the products of what we did all of these years ago. And it took me to my next chapter, a big leap this time. Let's call this one C-suite leadership and crisis management in a travel era. The first is dead positive. So I took a leap out of FMCG into travel with Virgin, where I became the VP of Virgin Holidays. And my job there was to bring Virgin Holidays and Virgin Atlantic, two 35-year-old but separate businesses, together. I'm passionate about travel, dead passionate. You can see the travel books here. And I'm dead passionate about customer experience as well. And this is something where Virgin is at absolute best. It's meticulous about this. So I learned tons. I also learned that you can bring businesses together and drive engagement at the same time as streamlining the team. In fact, with a new agency pitch, we combined under AMV, both Holidays and Atlantic together, new campaigns, but we also became the best place to work in campaign the same time as doing a restructure. So it felt like a lot of things were possible. I was then invited to take on the opportunity of leading Eurostar with a big European expansion. Dead excited about this, Susie. Again, travel. I was reporting directly to the CEO. I was the brand and customer experience. I took my holidays knowledge. I launched Eurostar Holidays, a real highlight. And with a partnership with the sales and marketing director, we created a whole new supercharged growth strategy, refreshed team, clear priorities, new commercial brand goals. It was all going brilliantly.
I know there's a big but coming, isn't there?
And you know it, everyone experienced it. Then there was COVID. It was the beginning of 2020, and ironically, as our scorecards were turning green and the team were just really buzzing, COVID was coming, and so I was suddenly thrust into the hot seat as an exec member of like, well, how do you navigate a European icon like Eurostar through a global crisis like COVID when there is no playbook? You're in travel. Travel is suddenly illegal overnight, and you've got a 95% drop in revenue. And I'm sitting there on the exec, and I'm making these critical decisions for the future of the brand, for the future of the people who work there, and for the future customers that we're yet to serve. And it's definitely the biggest test of leadership I've ever had. I mean, I certainly won't forget those 7:30 a.m. everyday calls as the exec team. And whilst it was hard, I'm proud to say that the Eurostar journey came to an end for me, but not for the brand and not for the team. And they live on, and they're stronger for some of those tough decisions that we had to make in a crisis. But then, yes, I'm sat here today, and finally my last chapter, Channel 4. I think Channel 4 is well known, isn't it, for being a really creatively brilliant brand. You mentioned it, creating change for entertainment, the Paralympics. But at the time I joined, it was also in need of a really big transformation to a digital future. Broadcast and entertainment had exploded, and there was a real need to mature the marketing team there, grow capabilities, create a bit of a commercial growth backbone and a mindset there in what is a public service broadcaster. And essentially, I guess I summarise it as making a creative and performance powerhouse. Entertainment is so competitive, so exciting, so explosive, but it's hard to stand out and it's hard to drive consideration and earn those views. So it's kind of thrilling for me that in the last 4 years we've added digital, performance marketing, MarTech, AI capabilities. And whilst we doubled down on creativity at the same time, it's probably the most awarded 4 years ever. Cannes Awards, recognition across the industry for the might of for creative. But now effectiveness is truly as sexy a word as creativity. I don't think they're mutually exclusive at all. And yes, after 4 years at 4, 3 team expansions and data-driven awards, 2 really successful Cannes Award-winning Paralympics that have really changed the game for the disabled community, and one ginormous master brand transformation. My old, very broad job is now 2 directors. It's a brand and marketing director, and now very proudly also a media and effectiveness director. As you can see, effectiveness is even in the job title. So I guess the cultural change and the work is done.
I think what was achieved at Channel 4 is fantastic, and clearly a role that you thoroughly enjoyed. And I think we'll refer to it as your most recent rather than kind of your last chapter. That sounds like that's the kind of terminal thing. And I know obviously you're going to go on and do something super exciting for your next chapter. But really interesting, this brand has been, listening to you through those various roles from the kind of early P&G days. Brand is very much the kind of the common thread or the red thread that goes through it. And I know that brand strategy is an area where you are really, that's like one of your superpowers. So what's your approach to brand strategy? Because you describe really well there, you're doing it in really different environments with different situations. What can you share with us, Amber, with regards to kind of how you how you approach brand strategy?
Yeah, well, if I guess if brand positioning is influencing the what do people think and feel about your brand, and why do they or why should they choose you, then brand strategy is kind of the blueprint for this growth, the strategic blueprint. And so they're navigating, ever changing internal and external factors. It's about, for me, it's about being super clear on this, like, what is your brand purpose? What's your brand story? The DNA of who you are, who you serve, and why you exist. What is your unique benefit? And of course, in this ever-changing world, it's about being continually connected. So never stop listening, never stop adapting to your market, both internally and externally. So develop that deep understanding of your target audience, the changing needs and their expectations. Keep really good eyes on the market. Just don't really rest. Think about always, what other choices do your consumers have? Where are they spending their time as much as their money? But if Channel 4 has taught me anything, it's be brave. Never be the first. Never be afraid to be the first, to do something. Test it, sure, have a go. But if it feels right, just go for it, because marketing is an art as well as a science. Marketing is about people. But just don't get carried away. Don't forget why you exist, and never forget that the experience of your brand is made up through multiple touch points, and it really does all add up.
The being brave is an interesting one, because that requires a cultural environment, one would assume, where the teams feel that they can be bold and be brave. And I subscribe to it. I think that's absolutely the way to go. I'm really interested because you've worked in environments that have been undergoing lots of different change. You talked about Eurostar with COVID. You talked about Boots, where they were looking to sort of reinvigorate a brand that had become a little bit sort of dusty, as it were. So you've had some really interesting challenges, and then you've got that thought of being bold and be brave. How do you? I know you're a brilliant leader. It's one of your key skills. But how do you lead teams through these different situations?
Probably one of the most important things that sets a brand and marketing leader apart is having the clarity and conviction on the vision and the strategy. Once you've got that really clear, it's about the engagement, finding those ways to keep everyone on the team truly engaged. I call it almost like being glued and invested to that longer term goal. I think that brands are people made. It's the people, the feeling behind the decisions, all those minute decisions that drive the success overall. So my approach is not to lead and bang on from the front at all, but instead to lead through the empowerment of a leadership team around me, experts actually leading the different areas of strategy, because marketing is broad, and in turn their invigorated sense will actually lead to an energized wider organization that you've instilled the right growth mindset and the freedom for failure and the ability to be brave. And
does it, or have you seen a difference, I suspect, within the roles that you've taken? You talk about energy and engagement, and I like the kind of being glued to it. I'm sure there's been a difference in some of the companies where you've got people within the team who are absolutely spot on for the culture and the products and the brands, and they can relate to it. Does that make it easier as a leader when you've got people who have this sort of natural affinity? They've naturally got an energy for the culture or the product of that business.
Yes, but I've worked on all sorts of businesses. I don't think you have to be a direct consumer of it. It helps, of course, but you really have to believe in the purpose of it. Okay. And I think that can come from the brand itself, like what it physically is and does and the benefit of it. But really the sense of excitement about where you're taking it, where you're going to go, and the challenge. You need all sorts of people. around you to do the different facets of marketing. And I really do believe in the diversity of thinking and the fact that ideas can come from absolutely anywhere in the team. In fact, I love that, and really challenge with a what if mindset to the team to really kind of challenge me back as well.
My next question is more to, I guess, get a bit of an insight into the world of a senior marketing leader.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of external influences right now, but what do you think would be some of the key priorities for senior marketing leaders on their to-do list over the next 12 months? What are the top 2 or 3 things that you think, in your view, senior marketing leaders are going to have as those priorities?
It's probably the 3 that are enduring and don't really change. The first is, when everything is changing, to not lose sight of the basics. We can get really excited about all the new and exciting things and theories, but really the fundamentals never really change. And I guess I've proven that to myself by working across all of these different categories. It's understanding your consumer deeply, build those plans that are authentic to your brand and your story, and be really clear on why you exist. But the second is, at the same time, be ready to learn and adapt, to leverage, and I'd actually say hug and embrace new technologies. Lean into AI. It's not going to take your jobs. It's going to change the way we do it. So have all the many millions of other things that have happened across the last 20 years. I mean, I found that marketing technology can help us prioritize, better connect with consumers in a more meaningful, personalized and effective way, of course. But as AI moves forward, automation moves forward in some areas, it's also imperative that we as marketers keep on top of what that means for privacy, regulation, and what it means for the trust that our consumers will have for our brand. And I think then the third area, this hasn't changed and it was taught to me from the very beginning, is understand the commerciality of your growth plans. And if I was going to say anything that you might remember from this, it's just become best friends with the CFO. Together you will be invincible, but you need to help them understand your shared goals and how marketing is a real engine to propel a brand towards whatever goal it's got.
Have you found that it's helped you with the commercial side of things? Given, I know you did an economics degree, I know you're highly numerate, very mathematical brain, really strong on the data, as well as quite an unusual skill, being super strong on the brand and creative side as well. You've got both elements of that. But does that help, having that natural economic commercial understanding?
Yeah, it does. And yeah, I mean, I did art as much as I did economics at school, right? So I'm fascinated by that intersection and alchemy of ideas and commerciality. But I think it's a lifelong lesson of understanding other people's goals as well, and combining that together is where the real power is for me. And of course, a CEO, a CFO, a brand needs to grow or sustain or be profitable to survive. But what many people have missed for the years until now is that marketing actually enables that. It's certainly not a cost. And I feel sad whenever it's seen as that. And it's really a true investment into how to build a great brand, a great product, and a great experience. It's why you really exist. And once you manage to get what are the needs of a CFO and how you can help them, it will unlock the potential of marketing. There's many things that we can do for free, but we can't do everything for free. So it does take that joint investment and the joint belief, actually. So become best friends with the CFO.
Okay, love that. Best friends with the CFO, and really understand how the commercials work, so that you can maximise that. What about advice now, in terms of we've got a big audience, we've got a community of about 35,000 senior marketing and digital leaders, a number of whom will be listening to this and thinking, I'd like to be Amber. I'd like to achieve that senior marketing leadership role. how do I get there? What do I need to do? So what advice would you share with those people?
I'd say it probably comes down to four things that I've learned over time. And the first one is strategic thinking. Second one's dead important, which is seniority comes with a need for better emotional intelligence. The third is don't doubt the need to understand how to influence others. As a marketer, you're influencing people all of the time. You're consumer based, but it's about influencing internally as well. We talked about best friends with the CFO. And the fourth is don't lose a thirst for learning. Never stop learning. So I guess a focus on developing both strategic thinking and emotional intelligence is so important as you move into more senior leadership. Success tends to be much less about what you personally deliver and more about how you would build or empower or energize others towards the goal of the company. In fact, leadership is probably about amplifying others' potential even more than it is your own. So invest time in learning about your team, and then just master the art of influence. How do you drive change through the wider business? Who is your network? Who does it need to be? And how do you communicate effectively, both with the CEO, both with your peers, but also towards your team? How do you open and create a good two-way conversation so the clarity of where you're going and the recommendations are just crystal for everybody? And then never stop learning, adapt, and have the humility to know when you've got it wrong or you didn't quite know that yet. It's just what sustains great leaders in complex environments. It's the thirst for knowledge.
Stay curious. I like
Yes.
that. So we always finish with a question about positivity and resilience and growth mindset. And I'm a big believer in those areas.
Yeah.
And it's no coincidence that kind of senior leaders all have a pretty well-honed routine in this respect. Are there any tips, insights, daily practices that you have that keep your energy high that you could share with others?
Well, I'm from Yorkshire, so I've learned from my youth that you get stronger from the rainy days. But I guess I just have a belief that resilience and growth mindset are just kind of rooted in the same DNA. Resilience is that mental attitude, helps you adapt, recover, grow stronger when facing challenges or little setbacks or ginormous setbacks. I guess what I do know is if I can reflect on my own experience, it makes me feel confident about the future, because my experience is shaped by some really great highs. It really is. But often my best work always came from, working through a crisis or a really big challenge. We talked about, leading an iconic travel brand through a COVID pandemic when it's practically wiped out your business. When I joined Channel 4, within the first 2 weeks, there was a giant privatisation threat from the government that we fought to stave off. When I was working on Oral-B, there was a patent actually expired a year into my tenure for our most profitable part of the business, the refill business, and everyone could copy it. And, we thought the business was going to collapse. And, I joined Boots and it was in the doldrums in terms of a decline in that brand. But what I've learned is it always got better. There's always a way. So what I do is I look back and go, well, at moments during my career, it's felt really rubbish, like there was no way out, but there always was. And so then someone told me this, there's a Japanese proverb that says resilience is just like falling down 7 times and standing up 8. And so I guess in my words, it's more like always the best is yet to come.
I know that my teenage daughter has that on the wall in her bedroom.
Aha, great stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm a big believer in that. Amber, thank you very much. I wish you every success with the next exciting chapter in your career. Some fantastic insights there. But thank you very much for your time.